did you hold on to any hope that a pardon was going to happen? Because I believe prior to you guys getting pardoned, right, there were quite a few military guys who got a pardon from Trump. I wanted some of them, and we can get in. I know Chris is limited time. Some of them I entirely disagree with, and I can get into that with you. Some of them I think, like our friend Gary Brugman, that was a border patrol
Yeah.
incident, but I totally believe should have gotten that pardon. First Lieutenant Michael Behenna, definitely deserving of a pardon, but I believe a few of those were before you. So when Trump was in office, and especially when he was handing out pardons to other military guys, either wrongfully or rightfully accused of war crimes, was it in the back of your mind that like I might get out of here?
No, so how that came about was it was after my third trial. I had been convicted and not sentenced yet, but I knew what my sentence would be. It'd be life in prison. I was waiting on a sentencing date, and I was in this little jail in Virginia, and they had a riot. They had me in this gang unit, and they had a riot in this gang unit, and they set the microwaves on fire, and they ran the cops out of the unit. And so my buddies were like, "What are you going to do, Nick?" I was like, "I'm going to my bunk and sitting on my bunk." I was like, "I'm going in. I get my Bible and I'm sitting on the cell in the cell because I already know what time it is. I know what's about to happen." They broke the sprinklers. Water's coming in, so I like roll up a blanket and put it under my door. And the riot team comes in and they hit us with flashbangs, and they hit us with tear gas canisters, and they drag out the people that are participating in the riot. And
Mm.
so I'm stuck in there, and they don't let us out for about 7 days. And they bring us trays that are in styrofoam and hand it to us through our bean slots. It's like a little slot in the door that they can open and just hand you stuff. And there's no food in the tray, so it's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You might be lucky to get like this much food, like a tiny little. So they were starving us, and I'm in there and I'm reading the Bible every day. I read Psalms 91, and in
Mm.
verse 3, surely He will save you from the fowler's snare, and that's in the New International Version that I have. And so I was like, that made me so mad that day. I was like, surely He will save you from the fowler's snare. I was like, that is where I'm at. When and I heard, just like I'm talking to y'all, I heard a voice, and it wasn't like Nick, it was just a normal voice, and it said, Slatten, pack your stuff. You got a presidential pardon. And I was like, I started laughing. I was like, man, I'm going crazy. I ain't had enough to eat. So days later, and let us make a phone call. And I called my sister, and she's like, have you heard? I was like, heard what? And she goes, well, the New York Times reported that President Trump was considering pardoning soldiers accused of war crimes, and it mentioned you by name. It mentioned me and Gallagher and Golston together in the same article. So that was the very first mention of a pardon. And I told her immediately, I was like, God told me I'm getting a pardon.
But
And
was it
so,
was
like,
any of that in the back of your head prior to that? Because
no,
obviously the pardon happened because there were guys fighting on your behalf, which I know, we have limited time, just like the same way you're
but
fighting on behalf of Sergeant Calvin Gibbs, which I know you want to get into before we, end
And
this. And I
we
know
we
we're
still got about 15. I'm good.
yeah,
15
yeah,
more
but
minutes. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that you at least, because I know you said this was important to you, but the point being, I mean, the pardon happened, and I totally get the religious faith of it, but there were a ton of guys back home fighting for you guys, and I mean, did were any of them contacting you saying like we're in the president's ear, this may happen?
oh yeah, definitely. There was uh, everybody. I mean, it's a small community. You know, if, if I don't know you, um, somebody that I know knows you. So it got into the president's ear. I think fairly quickly when he was that trend of pardoning, like you said, people that had made decisions in combat, and so it was just. Yeah, I mean, I just knew it was going to happen, and there were so many people that just wrote me letters all the time. Like I got letters from everywhere in America you can think of. I got letters from England, New Zealand, Australia, France, like you name it. Like I was getting letters from different countries. So, and they were all like, we believe you're innocent. Like we believe that you did the best you could in a bad situation. So it was just very encouraging. And yeah, President Trump's awesome. You know, he had courage to do what no one else would have done. You know, he didn't
Yeah.
care what it looked like. He read the facts, and he did what, you know, what a man would do. You know, he did what was right.